I'm Athena, owner of Meticulous Ink, and I've been doing calligraphy for 13 years. I'm self-taught, and I thought it was about time that I actually learnt.
I'm in Coventry for the Calligraphy and Lettering Art Society Festival of Calligraphy 2025. It's my first time coming here. They're all very friendly, down at reception. I need to still do my calligraphy lanyard, so that'll be fun. I'll do that now. And then tonight is our welcome reception and then dinner. The Festival of Calligraphy is a 5-day thing, but you can just do half of it. And there are 2 different sessions, so Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning. And then you swap to session 2 on Wednesday afternoon, then Thursday and Friday. I'm doing Elinor Winters Copperplate Calligraphy sessions for both. The first one is brushing up on the skills I've already got, and then the second one is all about flourishing, going more elaborate and planning artwork. So I'm excited to be a student in calligraphy again and do some learning. Elinor Winters is the author of the book that I learnt most of my calligraphy from, which is Mastering Copperplate Calligraphy. Fantastic, amazing book. I think it was written in 1989 originally, and has been the go-to book, has stood the test of time, endured, and is still an amazing book. So I'm really excited. I've never met Elinor Winters, so it's going to be an exciting week. I'm so glad I booked it for myself. The accommodation is very lovely, because I thought this was student accommodation, but this 100% looks like a hotel. It's very fancy. Food is provided as well, so we get breakfast, lunch and dinner on all the days. Monday night I'm going to see my friend who lives not too far away in Nottingham, and hopefully we're going to go karaoke. So any opportunity for me to go karaoke is accepted by me. I am going to unpack all my stuff and might go and get a little snack or something, and yeah, excited for tonight.
Before attending, they are very, very organised, and they send out an email with all the instructions and anything you can bring, all the things to bring for each session. And part of the instructions was that you have the opportunity to create your own lanyard with your name and your own place card for the gala dinner, which is on the Friday. And so this is me doing mine, and here it is. I added some sparkle around it, so this gives you a sense of where my calligraphy is at before.
I've just been to take my stuff to the classroom and went for dinner with everyone. I was gonna leave all my stuff to take to the classroom until tomorrow morning, and then everyone else had taken their stuff in, and then I realised then they're all getting their seats near the teacher. So then I ran up to my room and took my stuff down, and I feel a little bit out of my depth at the moment. Well, I just feel very like a newbie. There's a lot of language that they're using that I don't know, and everyone is very familiar with all the names of the different alphabets, fonts, scripts. So it's exciting. It's a whole different world, and I at the moment I'm still going to be very niche because I'm just copperplate, so maybe next time I'll just broaden out and do something completely different. But I think it's actually good to focus on copperplate, get that like super even more excellent, extremely confident in that. I'm really excited to do more flourishing and focus on that as well. I'm probably maybe the second youngest person here, so it's interesting seeing the demographic, and I think I'm really going to get a lot out of this week. And everyone's been really nice, very, very friendly. I'm very excited. I've met Elinor Winters, so that was exciting. She's really nice. She lives between New York and Paris, because sure, why not, right? I mean, if you could. Got my little lanyard. So excited for tomorrow.
Day 1, I set up all my things, laid everything out all very pleasingly. As the week went on, it did get messier and messier on my desk. There are a few things I wish I'd brought with me, like a putty rubber. Oh, also the floor was covered in plastic. They obviously must have had a spillage previously. It looked a little bit like murder was going to happen, but it didn't, so that was good. I misunderstood the initial instructions and thought that Eleanor wanted us to write a sentence but she didn't. She wanted us to do practicing of our basic strokes. I'm kind of glad that I did write a sentence before I actually got going, because I felt like it was a nice comparison to completely before I'd done any practice of strokes, and so I had something to compare to then later. Much of this whole first day was really getting back to basics, getting really, really specific about our individual strokes and the shapes. And Elinor would come round and give us any tips and guidance and have a look at what we were doing. It was quite a humbling experience, I may say. Discovered that I pressed a little bit too hard, and my curves are not as even as I thought. They were a little bit pointy. This I just wanted to show you as well how slow we were actually writing and actually doing the calligraphy. And Elinor really encouraged us to go extra slow, because then we would have more control over the shapes that we were making.
Afterwards, we can get going on letter groups.
A little tip for keeping your ink on the table is just to use some washi tape and tape it in place. You can also use a big blob of blue tack underneath your ink, just so that, you know, if you accidentally like tap it or whatever, it's not going to go flying. You can see the closer look at the ones with the E above and below. Those are the ones that Elinor has done, and the other ones are mine. So you can see how very specific you can get with trying to get those shapes perfect. And I was finding that I was still pressing a little bit too hard and wanting to keep my those downstrokes really, really smooth, because I often wanted to curve them before I actually reached the bottom.
These are a little small. These are just a bit. You know what I just showed someone, Linda? I just showed her that if I do this and it's parallel,
It's lunchtime on day one. My hand is hurting already. It's very fun, very precise, so much repetition, and I press very hard, evidently. So I'm working on trying to make my pressure much less on my downstrokes to make it all look more delicate, more elegant, more traditional in copperplate terms. I think my pressure is definitely from doing more modern calligraphy, and it's nice to be able to change that up. So I'm really trying not to press, but I'm still pressing a bit too hard. Elinor came round and she was looking at my O's, and there was one that was great, and she put a little tick next to it, and she was like, this one. Only one. So it's all about the details, it's all about the practice, it's all about the repetition. I made lots of friends in my class, particularly lovely Keith, who was sitting in front of me, a Glaswegian gentleman who had forgotten his medication. I think he said he had pancreatitis, and the medication kept him regular, let's say. And so there was a bit of drama, and he was trying to find the medicine locally, but then the pharmacist had to contact the doctor and he needed written sign-off, and it was a whole thing.
Dot is more part of the letter. It's like not a diamond foot. It does close in that wee bit.
Although I will say that this one here looks really good.
Oh right, okay.
The reason I start with
right,
it.
okay, that's. I was thinking that is what you call it. That dot was just to the note from the body of the letter.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, the reason that I start with it is when we're writing, then often the C moves on to the next letter. So you don't want to stop at the bottom, go back and finish it, and then continue. So, I mean, if you're writing, let's say, CI, right? So you have this and this.
We practiced all the letters in different groups, so similar looking letters we practiced together. This was into the last group, so these are ones that were slightly different, a little more random. Meanwhile, Keith was giving me updates about his situation and how regular or irregular he was being. He was getting a lot of help from the local Boots pharmacy, which was very nice. We then got to practice actually writing words and talking about how different letters join up. And so we practiced some different pangrams. So that is a sentence that includes all the different letters of the alphabet. So we could practice different ways of joining. We then analysed the sentence to see where we had weird gaps or where things were slightly incorrect.
I was going to say the word spacing is a little odd, but you're repeating words, so you can't really tell. Right here, the word spacing is good. Okay, you could make these loops more like that. Okay.
And here is my comparison to before and after starting my day. So the top you can see is a lot more random, there's a lot more pressure, it's a lot more irregular, and then the bottom is a lot more regular. I would say it looks better. It's the morning of day 2 and I'm just doing my makeup. I'm going to see if I can talk at the same time as doing my makeup. Yesterday was all about the basics, getting back to basics, practicing all of the basic strokes, and it was very insightful. I evidently pressed too hard, way too much pressure, very unnecessary. So most of my day was spent trying to do less pressure on the upstroke, not the upstroke, the downstroke. And even at the end of the day, Elinor Winters, who's the teacher, was like, yeah, you could still go a bit lighter on the downstroke. So I knew I was quite heavy-handed, but I did not quite realise just how much. It's quite fascinating how bad habits happen and how you can be doing calligraphy in a certain way or doing something in a certain way and you can't see it until someone else points it out to you, and then it's blatantly obvious the issues. We did all of the lowercase letters yesterday, and today is all about the capitals, so we're still doing all the basics for this first part of the course. And then tomorrow morning, well, we did a bit about joining yesterday, and different variation, different ways you can join. Food has been great here. All the food and accommodation is included. And Scarman, Warwick University, is very fancy, very shiny. I've made some friends, made friends with a few people that are sitting near me in my class. So that is great. And had a nice conversation about texture of paper. So that is wonderfully geeky. I will say it is completely different. I can definitely see ways that I can improve the way that I teach, because the workshop I teach is definitely like an introduction, very intense, 2.5 hours, and you learn how to use the dip pen. And yesterday, you know, we spent the 2.5 hours just practicing strokes, individual strokes, like just doing an upstroke, doing an upstroke, doing an upstroke, and getting it absolutely perfect. And I think that is the great benefit of this week, is getting really back to basics and practicing those strokes and getting my calligraphy that much better. My sister asked me, what are you getting out of this week? And I said, better calligraphy. I hope. Is the aim. I'm definitely going to get more from this. And I think it'll be really nice to be able to change the look and aesthetic of my calligraphy more, to learn some different variations and to get it even crisper, just to get my calligraphy looking even more professional. Also, I'm self-taught, so it's pretty amazing going to a class. I love it. It's great. It's really nice to be on the other side and experience that side, because I actually haven't done that in calligraphy, which is interesting. So I think it's nice to see how another teacher teaches and see if there's any improvements that could be made to my style of teaching, the way that I teach, how I convey certain things, because I want the way that I teach to be right, and I want it to be the right information I'm conveying historically in terms of the accuracy of calligraphy and where it comes from and where this particular P originates from and things like that. Like there's this particular style of the P that I hadn't realised is from the 18th century. So it's very interesting. I'm enjoying it. My hand was absolutely aching by the end of the day yesterday. I did a little bit of stretching, so that is nice. And I never usually put on this much mascara, but here we are. Now I need to even out, so I don't have my contact lenses in. I've only got my glasses with me. So this is how blind I am. I have to hold the mirror this close to my face to be able to see what is going on. I can't see what's happening in front. Anyway, I've got my glasses, everything is fine. Day 2, capital letters. Fun, so fun. Very excited. Yay! Day 2, had an update from my friend Keith, who was sitting in front of me. He had successfully collected the medication and so was taking it, but had still not been to the toilet. He did have a false alarm and he thought he needed to go, but then he returned and he had not been. Anyway, started my calligraphy day by doing some practice strokes, and I really wanted to focus on getting the curve at the top of my ends a little rounder and less pointy. And then we moved to practicing in pencil, which felt like quite a relief because it just felt a lot less important doing it in pencil rather than doing it in ink. Elinor wanted us to focus on the absolute bare bones of the capitals so that we had a very basic shape to work towards. Keith had given me a smoother piece of paper to try out, which Elinor had suggested. I think it's Tomo River, it's called. It's very, very thin, very, very smooth. I actually much preferred working on the thicker and slightly more textured paper. I feel like it's a lot more forgiving.
Don't panic, don't panic.
Go back! Oh my God!
Mr. Manning, Mr. Manning.
It was a Copperplate Calligraphy got burnt.
Oh God! They didn't want to leave.
Come on, I want to make up a blade.
I thought you were like, come on, get out, there's a fire! Thankfully it was a false alarm and our calligraphy paper did not go up in flames, so that's great. I did continue to use the rest of this page just so that I could properly test out this paper. Obviously it's really, really thin, so it's really good because you can see through it really easily and see the lines underneath. However, I much prefer the other paper. The paper I usually use is Arena 140 GSM, which is our sort of in-house paper that we use for all of our stationery and greeting cards and everything. It's wove paper, so it is smooth, but it's got a tiny bit of bite, which I really like. Then we were on to capitals, and this was really fun because, you know, adding in a bit more flourishing into it, practice a few words, it's all happy times.
A little bit to the left, but only a little bit, where your basic downstroke is following our 55-degree slant line. So what do we do with this stroke? And then I'm going to do this. Just a little bit of a curve, straight, and then you could.
Lunchtime day 2. We've just literally finished the capitals, but we haven't actually practiced all of them yet. There was a fire alarm that went off, which was not ideal. There was no fire, thankfully, but we all had to go outside, so then we lost like 15 minutes, maybe less. I'm getting the pressure is much better than it has been, so that's good. I tried some different paper. I don't really like it. I feel like the meticulous ink paper is better. I feel like the meticulous ink paper is more forgiving because there's like a little bit of texture, so it's easier to make a straight line, I feel like. Whereas really, really smooth paper, I think shows everything, which is probably actually better now that I'm saying this out loud for practice. Oh well. I'm gonna go and have some lunch and then more lecturing later. I'm a big fan of the capital Y, and I get to do capital Ys in my surname. I know they don't come out very often, so they're not very popular, slightly underrated as a letter, I would say. Capital Ds, I much prefer to do all in one stroke, so you come down to do the spine and then up in front, rather than coming down in front. I did really enjoy doing this little swatch to show how different the nibs are. Enjoyed that very much. And then we were playing with different sizing of our X height. I think 4mm was my favourite from memory. it just seemed to fit the proportion of like the width that I naturally do my letters.
When they get bigger. And
Elinor was really attentive through the whole workshop. That's Last Fruit, that is her calligraphy. So you can see I'm still pressing a little bit firmer, but we practice.
like that. I could do something else here. So again, I could imagine that's where my line is going. I'm going to start over here and do that. So I'm doing that sort of pretzel shape. I'll show you all one more thing about the descenders that I was just showing Linda, I think. And it's really helpful to see this. So look up for a moment. And
I just returned from day 2 afternoon, and I feel really happy and excited because I feel like I can really see the difference out in the improvement. The last 2 sheets I did, I feel really happy with each. So this we did towards the beginning of today, and then of capital letters, variations. And this was from yesterday, and this is from today. And I just feel like it's so much better from that going to that. It's so much better. I'm really, really happy. I think as well, because we used different size sheets for this one, and something, I don't know, something clicked and it just made more sense for me than being this big. And this is only a difference of 1 millimeter, this sheet, but it makes all the difference. Because here I was getting really squishy with the width, and here it was like the right proportions for the way I do my calligraphy, I guess. I know, I just really happy with this. Yes. Really excited. Tomorrow morning we're doing variations on capital letters, more variations, and then after lunch then we're going into the second session for the second half of the week, which is all about flourishing. So we're gonna like do loads of swirly whirly woolies, and I'm really excited. My hand is aching a lot, particularly like right here, this bit. So I've been trying to stretch my hand a little bit. I'm gonna go for a little walk now. We've got a free evening tonight, so I'm gonna go for a walk before dinner, come back, have some food, and then just like relax. And I need to do my place card for the Friday gala dinner. I bought a fancy dress, obviously, and it's gonna be great.
Day 3, and in the morning we spent time doing alternatives for the capital letters. So we'd already gone through all of the lowercase and alternatives for the lowercase, and then we're now looking at alternatives for the capitals, which was really fun because it led us really beautifully into the flourishing, which is going to happen after lunch. One of the best things about going to the festival is having that 5 days, 5 completely solid days of practice, just repeated practice. And that is the thing that makes the biggest difference, I think, and means that you can improve your calligraphy dramatically, is just having the hours, getting that time into practice. This is an oblique nib holder. It's a more basic one. I brought 2 with me. I also brought the Tom Studio one. But as the week went on, I found, because we were doing so much calligraphy, the Tom Studio one was just a bit too heavy as the days went on. So I swapped to this one, which is a much lighter one. This one has the brass flange, I guess you'd call it, that holds the nib, and then you can slide that bit into the nib holder. It's nice and light. You can slightly bend the brass so that the nib is angled a little flatter to the page, which makes it feel smoother.
My tablets are working.
Excellent.
To go.
Very happy for you.
It's the first time. Obviously the thing's working.
that's good.
Back to not normal, mate.
Almost.
I was
When you doing like some bit of stretching, yoga last night, no?
no.
We were all very happy to know that Keith was back to normal. We did these all caps variations of a very simplified calligraphy. I didn't like it though. I didn't like it at all. Here's a little tour of the place cards, just to show you all the different styles that everyone did for their place cards. That was my one at the back. Also, I did a matching card to my lanyard. My favourite is this one. Look how beautiful. Jenny King. What a talent. Just divine. How did you think of that? I've no idea. But it's really, really cool. And so fun to see all the different styles. It's just so much to learn. I'm so excited about that. I found it really useful to do all the flourishing in pencil. It just felt a little looser, felt more like I was sketching or drawing, and made it a lot easier to get to grips with the different directions of the shapes, because it felt very different than drawing the letters. I also hadn't realised how much you can, and that calligraphers do, turn the page to get the flourishing in the right direction, which makes total sense now you think about it. If you're studying, looking at the universal penman and other examples, you can see that the thick strokes are in a different direction. So yeah, of course you turn the page. At this point, my brain is leaking out my ears. End of day 3, I'm definitely making progress. I feel like yesterday I felt a lot more chipper, a lot more like, yes, I get this. And today I feel a bit more like, it's a lot to take into my brain. It gets to about 4:30. Monday it got to about 4:30, and then I was making spelling mistakes. Today, if it was the same, it got to 4:30, and I was like, why can I not do a straight line? What is happening? And so then I ended up, the last 15 minutes I was tracing instead, and that was all right. I was just, doing the shapes in pencil, and that just felt a lot more gentle after an entire day of doing calligraphy. We're flourishing now, so that is a great fun. Quite enjoying doing that in pencil, and excited. Tomorrow we're going to do a flourishy border, and then on Friday we're gonna I need to pick a quote, so that on Friday we're going to do a flourishy quote and make it super elaborate. Right now I'm gonna just lay down, do a bit of doom scrolling until dinner, and zone out. Ready? Start of day 4, these are the things that I'm mainly using. I've got Blackwing pencil, my oblique nib holder, Tom Studio nib holder, a bottle of Iron Gore ink, my lovely nibs, and a jar of water. Very important to be cleaning your pen very regularly, which I never used to do at all. So that is something else that I will be taking away from this week. At this point, we're getting very much to grips with creating pieces of artwork with our calligraphy, to adding those flourishes at the very beginning of the words, and then using the flourishing to justify and create that kind of solid box shape around our lettering. So much fun. Really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I was so focused I did it wrong and wrote the wrong thing. I wrote the thing twice on that first 2 lines, but that's okay. Just having a lunch break, and it's amazing how the journey of just, even in the space of an hour, I can go from at the beginning of the class being like, yeah, I've got this, and then in the middle of the class being like, oh my god, this is shit, I am rubbish, and this is not good, and then by the end of the hour being like, oh yeah, I've got it again, it's okay, everything is fine, this is, yes, I do know how to do calligraphy. So that's hilarious. I'm feeling a bit more confident. I think it definitely helps when you feel connected. It's good to write things that you don't care about, so you're just copying, because then you're focusing totally on the shapes and stuff. But I do think there's definite benefit to choosing words that you connect with and that mean something to you, or is a quote you really like, or some lyrics you really like,
or I do think it makes the calligraphy better, I reckon. I'm doing a quote from Bridgerton, which is the, but I am leaving for India. Is that what it says? But I leave for India, and it is not far enough. So I'm doing that one because I really like that quote. It's a great quote. Oh my God. And so I need to go back and finish that. And then we're doing more borders. Next, we got to practice our flourishing around some names. Ideally, we wanted to practice with a name that had ascenders and descenders. So I chose my other half's name, Andy, and my sister's name, Sophia. And it was so much fun. I really loved this bit. Loved adding so many loops, just making it as full as humanly possible while still being readable. I'm totally down with this. I love it. It's so much fun.
Decorative capitals, flourished endings, and the flourished minuscules.
Elinor then asked all of us to do this same quote. And some of the people in the class were very much like, paring it back and just doing a little bit of flourishing. But I'm like, how many flourishes can I insert into this piece of text? How elaborate can I make these ascenders and descenders? I'm like, how flourishy can I make this? Is there a way I can make this more flourishy? Yes, then let's do that. So the other people in the class that I'm doing have asked me to do a thank you card. And it feels like really cute and nice that they want me to do it. So I feel very happy about that. And I've just been to a talk from Mary Noble, who's an amazing calligrapher lady, and who is teaching the colour and texture class as part of the Calligraphy and Lettering Arts Society Festival of Calligraphy, which is what I am at. And unfortunately, I'm not doing her class, but fortunately, I'm doing Elinor Winters. I honestly think you can never learn enough. Like, there's always more stuff that you don't know. So much more that I don't know about calligraphy, and even, just about copperplate. Like, I'm in this small niche of calligraphy and I know basically nothing about it. It's how I feel. But, in a good way, as in there's so much more I can learn. And now there's so many other scripts that I want to learn in calligraphy. I want to do black letter and like foundational and italic, and I want to do all of the things. So Mary Noble was talking about the diploma, and there's lots of different ways that you can learn with the Calligraphy and Lettering Arts Society. Short class is what is the acronym. And I just want to do all the things. I felt quite a little bit emotional when she was talking. I felt really excited about learning more lettering and more alphabets and more calligraphy. And I'm also on my period, so there is that. And I felt like I sort of teared up a little bit, like, these are my people. Like, I feel really excited and happy about it, and like, I really want to learn all of those things. I want to be really good at all of those things, and I want to make art as well as a thing. And then I feel like there's so much I don't know about letterpress printing as well as calligraphy, and
you know, running this creative shop, and there's so much more I don't know about stationery, and, you know, I just feel like there's all these creative fields, and I want to know all of them, and I just love making things. It's really fun. I'm so glad I came to this. It's been great being on the other side of the table and learning loads of stuff and getting back to basics. There's never a bad time to learn the basics again. Like, just going back to, like, on the first day, just going back to just practicing lines, just literally just doing individual strokes that you just can't get enough of it. I can't convey how important it is, actually, just to go back to basics and just draw lines on a page. If you want to improve your calligraphy, just draw lines on a page. It's as basic as that. And I can see my calligraphy has improved loads since the beginning of the week. And I'm so excited to do tweaks to my course and just to be able to look at calligraphy and understand what's good and bad about it even better, and, you know, look at those detailed curves and shapes and the weight of the line and try and get it perfect. It's very exciting. Anyway, I'm going to plan this little thank you card now. I'm going to use some of the skills that I've learned this week and try and do, like, loads of flourishing around the word thank you. It's day 5, and that means that we are planning our final piece of artwork. So we spent the whole day working towards this one piece of artwork. I chose a quote by a Sufi poet, Hafiz, and it's a beautiful quote, such a pretty thing to envisage. And I initially was going to do it quite small, and that those plans changed. So we were very much planning physically. So we were writing out the words in different sizes and figuring out how many lines it was going to be on, centering all. There's just so much measuring. Why is there so much maths in so many of the creative fields? Like letterpress printing, that's got loads of measuring in it, and loads of different, like, point sizes and things of that nature. Anyway, at this point I was very regretful that I forgot to bring my T-square collaboration that Meticulous Ink and Divide and Rule have done together, because that would have made this whole process so much easier. Alas, I forgot to bring it with me, but I will definitely be using that for the future. It just makes it loads quicker and easier for measuring in all your lines and everything, because that is half the work, is doing all the measuring. I mean, the fun bit is planning all of the actual lettering. That's my favourite bit. And, you know, adding in all the flourishes and making it really, really loopy.
It's on the page, but I would propose that if you, let's find something that's not printed on both sides. Here's one and here's one. So we now have a bigger piece of paper. If you lay it on a bigger piece of paper, it already, to me, that already looks better. Right?
She's right.
And if you do it with 2 pieces of paper, you could make them a little smaller, make them a little bigger. You can make a judgment of how much space seems right around it. Okay? If you did something that's basically vertical, you could also, let's pretend this is vertical, you could do it like this and see how it looks top and bottom. Maybe it needs to be like that if you know, if the whole size is like that. So make your decision by looking at it, you know, not just by looking at that, but by seeing how it sits on a bigger field.
It was then time to create our final piece, our masterpiece. Lovely Linda, who is sitting next to me, lent me some larger paper, which the quote did definitely look better, as I had only brought A4 paper with me. But I didn't realise I needed bigger paper, otherwise I would have bought bigger paper. And I decided to get my Coloro metallic inks out, and that was very fun. I was meant to do it in 2 different colours, and then I got so sucked into actually doing the calligraphy, I forgot to change colours. I was also the last one to finish. I don't know how that happened. Everyone else had totally cleared up and packed all their things away, and I was left, well, I didn't want to leave without finishing it. And I did actually finish it, and I'm very pleased that I stayed and added all of my amazing flourishes. Okay, I'll see you down there.
That's some work, and that's a cutting board. I think that's not very heavy.
Damn it.
Still in the process of packing. This festival has been so amazing. I have learnt so much. I've really loved it. I've loved being part of this community. It feels very like a warm hug, actually. Everyone's been really friendly, really encouraging. It's been really easy just to talk to people. My calligraphy has dramatically improved. I felt very confident in my calligraphy anyway. And then coming here, it was that roller coaster of feeling not quite, it's very humbling being in a room full of people that are really good, really talented. I really love seeing other people's work. Everyone brought down a finished piece so you could see how the other workshops were working and what they were working on. And I loved it. I really loved it. I've got so much more knowledge now, and there's so much more that I don't know. And I'm so excited to go down this rabbit hole and become even more. I did not think it was possible, but it is hugely possible to become even more of a calligraphy geek. And I'm excited. I feel really like privileged to be part of this and being 40 years old, because lots of the people here are retired and therefore they've got the time to be able to dedicate to this. And I feel really lucky that I'm coming into this at 40 years old. And I feel like, okay, I've got another like 40, 50, 60 years to be able to learn even more and do more and learn more and do more. And I really want to do the class diploma and tick off all of those certificates. So they've got loads of different themes and specific elements that you can learn about, like colour and texture and different types of calligraphy. And I feel really excited by it and excited to learn so much from other people that already have 50, 60 years of knowledge of calligraphy. I'm like, yeah, I would like to download that brain, please. So I'm so excited about it, and I'm excited to get home and just do a bit more, just do some practice in pencil and use my skills. I feel like I've already done a greeting card that I can use, so that's amazing. I think for the foreseeable, I'm going to do so many calligraphy themed pieces of work. There's going to be so much flourishing. Oh my goodness, yes. I'm going to geek out about the Universal Penman, about that book. I'm going to have another look at Elinor Winters' book, which I sell in Meticulous Ink. I'm going to see if I can get the Universal Penman in Meticulous Ink as well, because that would be great. And there's so much reference material in that. I have loved my experience here. The venue has been great. The food has been amazing. Bedroom's very nice and swanky. And I've loved it. Really loved it. Really excited for next year and trying something new. And class has got loads of different online courses, so I'm going to geek out about that on my way home on the train. I feel really inspired, really energized, and so excited. And my hand is okay. Like, I thought I might be like, by the end of the week, my back is not so great. I'm going to do a bit of yoga, or what is it, Pilates. I think I need to do some Pilates and body fab. Back to the gym. For anyone that is wondering, is this for me? It's really good if you've already done, that kind of surface level. If you've done a little bit of calligraphy already, then this is the place to come. And even if you haven't, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, then the Calligraphy and Lettering Art Society have loads of online resources and stuff that you can look at. They've got a YouTube channel, and there's a lot that you can learn if you want to get to that point and then come along. And just come along, really. They've got loads of information on the website. I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of class. I'm not even part of it yet, so I'm gonna join, become a member, and start on this journey. So this is not a paid advert or anything. This is just my personal experience. I've loved it. Everyone has been really, really friendly. I've loved it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with more beautiful calligraphy. Thank you. Bye.